What's up, everybody? I'm Zanny Cakes, and I'm here today on the Project Diablo 2 open beta. I'm making videos on each of the different classes' skill trees so you guys can see the changes that have been made in Project Diablo 2 and hopefully give you a better idea of what you want to use as your season starter. This video, we're going to take a look at the Amazon. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into the skill tree here. So let's go start out with bow and crossbow skills. We've got magic arrow. It creates a magical arrow or bolt that does extra damage. It does half your weapon damage, and then it converts 50% physical into magic damage. I believe that it gets additional arrows the higher level it is, and then it also adds to attack rating. It's got synergies from inner sight, slow movement, and guided arrow. It is also required for all three of the next tiers. So looking at cold arrow, pretty much does the same thing, only it does cold damage instead of magic damage. We have multiple shot, magically splits in one arrow or bolt into many. In Project Diablo 2, it looks as though it does your full weapon damage and gives you a bonus to attack rating, which is very nice. I think multi-shot will be very strong in Project Diablo 2. Then we have Fire Arrow, which converts 50% of your physical damage into fire damage, and it synergizes with Magic Arrow and Immolation Arrow. Here we have Ice Arrow, magically enhances your arrow or bolt to freeze your enemies, so instead of just a slowing chilled effect, it actually freezes them. And then it gets synergies from Magic Arrow, Cold Arrow, and Freezing Arrow. Freezing Arrow magically enhances an arrow or bolt to freeze entire groups of enemies. So it does the hard freeze for entire groups and gains bonus damage with Cold Arrow and Ice Arrow. We've got Guided Arrow, enhances your arrows and bolts to track your target or seek one of its own. It says it converts 0% physical damage to magic damage. I don't know if that actually goes up with more points into Guided Arrow, or if you only get the Magic Arrow gives you 1% magic damage conversion per level. So it might be that you only get the 20% if you max out the Magic Arrow. But either way, I think the Guided Arrow will be very good. I know that it is able to pierce, and then it also always hits, so you don't have to worry about attack rating. It's a very good skill to use against things like act bosses or those stubborn, unique monsters that have very large hit point pools and likely map bosses and things of that sort. And we have Strafe, magically splits one arrow into several that target multiple nearby enemies. It gives you a bonus to attack rating. At level 1, attacks up to 3 targets, gives you 100% bonus damage. I'm not sure if you still go through the Strafe animation in Project Diablo 2 or not. If you don't actually go through the Strafe animation, I think that Strafe will be extremely strong and probably replace multi-shot. However, if you still do go through the Strafe animation, then it kind of is a double-edged sword. If you are in a Strafe animation and you get hit and take a hit recovery animation, or if you dodge or avoid, then you miss any remaining shots on your Strafe. Although with the way that the description looks in Project Diablo 2, you might not actually go through the drawn out Strafe animation. We've got Exploding Arrow, enchants an arrow or bolt that explodes on contact, so it does AoE fire damage. It gets synergies from Magic Arrow and Immolation Arrow. I'm kind of curious why they didn't have the synergies be Immolation Arrow and Fire Arrow, as it's a fire skill. I don't know why they decided to use Magic Arrow instead of Fire Arrow as the synergy, but either way, it gets bonus damage from Magic Arrow and Immolation Arrow. And then Immolation Arrow enhances arrows or bolts to cause severe fire damage and creates a pyre upon impact. So it hits a target, it explodes, and then it puts a burn damage pyre on the ground that does damage over time. It also gets bonuses from Magic Arrow, Exploding Arrow, and Fire Arrow. So it looks like overall the there weren't a whole lot of changes to the bow and crossbow skills. I do think that it's still going to be very solid. It looks as though multi-shot will still be very strong. Guided arrow, I think, is going to be very strong for single target damage. Strafe might end up being really good. I'm unable to say whether or not it's really going to be that great until I'm able to actually test it out. And then immolation arrow is going to do huge amounts of fire damage. I think that freezing arrow builds will be very good in group play, especially in dungeons. If you're able to freeze targets, that'll help out your group from taking a whole lot of damage, and it'll act like a sort of crowd control. So Javelin and Spear skills, we have Jab, attacks with a series of rapid thrusts using a Javelin or Spear class weapon. It says it does multiple hits. I don't know what multiple hits is, obviously more than one. And then it gets bonus to attack rating, bonus damage, and you get synergies from Fenn. We have Javelin and Spear Mastery, increases the damage and critical hit chance with the Javelin and Spear skill weapons. At level 1, it gives you 35% damage bonus and 5% chance of critical strike. This looks like the Barbarian weapon masteries, however, it works for Javelins and Spears and is on an Amazon. Overall, I think that is an excellent addition to the Javelin and Spear skills tree. Fenn attacks all adjacent targets. It gives you a huge bonus to attack rating, 100% bonus to damage, and then Jab also is a synergy for more damage. It looks like Fenn will be a very solid physical damage build in the Javelin and Spear skills tree. I'm very interested to see how they end up performing at end game, as Fenn has always been fairly lackluster. But I think with the changes, the Fenn will actually probably be pretty good. So here we have Poison Javelin. Magically enhances your Javelin to leave a trail of poison clouds. It gets synergy bonuses from Plague Javelin and Javelin and Spear Mastery. I really like that the Javelin and Spear Mastery is a synergy to the Poison Javelin. I think that between the Javelin and Spear Mastery increasing your physical damage and it also increasing the poison damage on your Poison Javelin, I think that there will be some very good physical and poison damage Spear or Javelin builds. Here we have Power Strike, adds lightning damage to attacks with the Javelin and Spear class weapons, casts a small nova that deals lightning damage in an area. So you gain a bonus to attack rating. It adds lightning damage to your attack itself, as well as has a separate lightning damage roll for the nova. And then as far as synergies go, Lightning Strike and Lightning Bolt synergize the lightning damage on both the attack and the nova. They're 20% apiece, so I feel like Power Strike will be very strong with endgame gear. And overall, I think that it will be a very good leveling build to use, as you'll have AoE, it'll do good lightning damage, and then you'll also have physical damage that you can use to deal with lightning immunes. So here we have Lightning Bolt, magically converts your Javelin into a bolt of lightning. It does 3/4 weapon damage and then converts 100% of your physical damage into elemental damage. It gets synergy bonuses from Power Strike and Lightning Fury. Then we have Plague Javelin, magically enhances your Javelin to release expanding clouds of poison upon impact. Gives you bonus to attack rating, does poison damage over 3 seconds, and is synergized by Poison Javelin and Javelin and Spear Mastery. Again, I really like that they are putting Javelin and Spear Mastery as a synergy, and I think that poison builds will be much more prevalent in Project Diablo 2 than they are in vanilla Diablo 2. So we've got Charge Strike, adds lightning damage to Javelin and Spear class weapons and releases charged bolts upon impact. At level 1, it releases 2 charged bolts. I would imagine that they go up with skills. And then it synergizes from Power Strike, Lightning Strike, and Lightning Fury. Overall, I've always been a big fan of Charge Strike. It is definitely a boss killer. Anything that's big enough to absorb more than one of the lightning bolts, it really dies fast. So I'm interested to see how this performs at endgame. We got Lightning Strike, adds lightning damage to your Javelin and Spear class weapon and releases a chain lightning upon impact. You get synergies from Power Strike and Charge Strike. Overall, I think that's a good skill, and with the 14% synergies, it'll probably do a lot of damage at endgame. I think it will be extremely good on Spear class weapons, and overall, I'm interested to see builds that revolve around Lightning Strike. And then we have Lightning Fury. This is your top dog cow killer. Looks like it's pretty similar to the vanilla version. Changes a thrown javelin into a powerful bolt of lightning that splits on impact. At level 1, it releases 10 bolts, and then you get synergy bonuses from Power Strike and Lightning Bolt. So moving on to passive and magic skills. We've got Critical Strike. Gives your attacks a chance to do double damage. That's always good. Pierce. Your missiles have a chance to pass through enemies that they hit. It's also very good. These are pretty standard compared to what they are in vanilla. We also have Penetrate. It increases your attack rating and lowers target defense. So in the vanilla, it only increases your attack rating. I like that it reduces the target defense as well, as it will greatly increase your chance to hit, as those two things work in tandem to significantly increase your hit chance. So the way that it works is you roll your attack rating roll against their defense. So it gives you attack rating, so your attack rating is higher, and then lowers their defense, so their defense rating is lower. And overall, that will be an extremely good skill as far as being able to hit enemy targets. You got Inner Sight. Illuminates nearby enemies, making them easier to hit for you and your party. It lowers their attack rating and their defense. Overall, not a bad skill. It would be pretty handy in group play. We have Slow Movement. Illuminates nearby enemies and slows their ranged attacks and movement. So their movement speed is reduced by 20%, and then their ranged attacks are slowed to 75%. So another thing that I think will be very good for group play. We have Evade. They rolled Dodge, Evade, and Avoid into just these two skills. So Evade gives you a chance to dodge melee or missile attacks when you're walking or running. And then it also grants you passive movement speed. I really like the addition of the movement speed. And then Dodge, you have a chance to dodge when you are attacking or standing still. So this one is when you're moving. This one is when you're attacking or not moving. And then this one also gives you a 4% bonus to hit recovery. And I would imagine that goes up with each level as well. So we've got Decoy. Creates a duplicate of yourself that draws fire from enemies. It just makes you a little clone of you that can soak up some damage. Overall, not bad. And then we have Valkyrie. So summons a powerful Valkyrie ally. Can summon an additional Valkyrie at levels 20 and 30, so I believe that you can ultimately get up to 3 Valkyries at one time. They use Power Strike, so it does the little lightning nova. You get synergy bonuses from Decoy, Pierce, Penetrate, Power Strike, and Critical Strike. With the being able to have 3 of them out at one time, and all of these synergies, I think that Valkyrie builds will be very viable end game, and I'm personally very excited to give it a try to see if it's actually worth running. Overall, there aren't any huge changes to the Amazon in Project Diablo 2. It looks as though they're really put most of their effort into the Javelin and Spear skills tree. I think that the Fenn builds will be very good as season starters. Poison builds will be very good as season starters, and even the lightning build. I think the Power Strike and for AoE damage, and then using Charge Strike for your boss killer will be very good. The other thing I like about the lightning damage is with the Act 3 mercenary having static field that has the ability to break lightning immunes. You don't have to completely rely on infinity. You can actually do fairly well before getting an infinity or completely skipping the infinity. So overall, I think that the Javelin and Spear skills tree is going to be very strong in Project Diablo 2, and I think we will see a lot of fun builds with multiple elements between physical, lightning, and poison. So there you have it, guys. That's the Amazon and Project Diablo 2. Check back, and we will be doing all the rest of the classes between today and tomorrow. And as always, good luck, have fun, and I hope to see you out there.